Ari had always believed that some people came into your life like morning sunlight, quiet, warm, dependable. Luka was her sunlight, her love. The boy who walked with her to school, fought the boys who bullied her, and shared his dreams with her as if she were the only one who could keep them safe. The day his family's plane fell from the sky, sunlight left her world. She remembered that evening as though it were etched into her bones. Rain hammering against the roof. The sharp, unnatural silence that seeped into the house. And Luka, barely 19, soaked to the skin, staring at her front door as though he had forgotten how to breathe. Ari had held him as he broke. She had felt the grief twist his body. She had whispered useless trembling words into his ear, praying they could somehow stitch him back together, but Luka never truly healed. He simply stood, wiped his eyes, and walked into the storm of responsibilities the world suddenly thrust onto him. Her parents helped him. Their family stood with him without him ever asking, because that was how their families had always been. And still, Luka drifted away. 4 years passed. He buried himself in business, in work, in silence. He shut her out, not cruelly, but quietly, like someone locking a door without realizing their hands were doing it. And then, one day, he proposed. Ari never asked why. A part of her had been waiting for that moment since she was 15. He had tucked a white flower behind her ear and told her she looked like spring. She said yes with her whole heart. The wedding was grand, beautiful, the kind of ceremony people dream of. She wore pearls and a soft smile. Luka wore a tailored suit and an expression she could not read. Their kiss was gentle but distant. She told herself it would change. She believed this marriage would bring them closer. But marriage gave her everything except the one thing she wanted, him. 1 year later. Ari sat silently on the edge of the bed, fingers twisting the end of her pale blue dress. It was past midnight. And again Luka had not returned home. She wasn't foolish. She knew where he was. His office, meetings, his endless business calls that seemed to consume him piece by piece. He never came home angry. Never raised a hand, never even raised his voice. He provided for her in ways that would make any outsider assume she lived a fairy tale: gifts, security, a mansion with shining marble floors. But the rooms were cold. Frozen. And she had learned that luxury could be a gilded cage. A soft knock came at the door. She hoped for Luka. But, "Madam," came Mia's gentle voice, one of the older maids. "Should I leave the lights on?" "Sir messaged that he will be late." Ari smiled faintly. "Keep the lights dim. I'll wait a little longer." Mia hesitated. "Madam, you have been waiting every day." Ari looked at her hands. "I know." When the maid left, she curled her knees to her chest and stared at the clock. She told herself that tonight would be different. That Luka might at least sit with her for a while. At 1:30 at night, the sound of the main door unlocking echoed faintly through the hallways. Ari's heart jumped before she could stop it. She hurried out of the bedroom and reached the living room just as Luka stepped inside, shrugging off his coat. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, shoulders sagging slightly. His tie hung loosely around his neck. He paused when he saw her. "Ari?" His brows drew together. "Why are you awake?" "I was waiting for you," she said softly. "You didn't have dinner." "I ate at the office." "You could have texted me." "I forgot." She swallowed. "You always forget." Silence settled between them, a silence heavy with all the words Ari had never dared to speak. Luka walked past her toward the stairs. She followed. "Luka," she called gently. "Can we talk?" Another pause. His jaw tightened. "Now?" he asked. "Yes, now," replied Ari. He turned halfway, his eyes tired, unreadable. "It's late, Ari." It's always late, no matter when. She whispered. He didn't move, didn't argue, nor try to comfort her. He did nothing. Ari gathered the courage she had scraped together over months of loneliness and stepped closer. I can't keep pretending everything is fine. Luka's face hardened. Pretending what exactly? That we are married, she breathed. Truly married. He didn't respond. Ari felt something in her chest tighten painfully. Luka, why are you like this with me? Tell me what I did wrong. His expression flickered, surprise, guilt, frustration, something darker. You didn't do anything wrong, he said at last. But don't expect something I can't give you. Love, she whispered. Is that so impossible? His eyes snapped away. You knew what this marriage was. No, she said, shaking her head in disbelief. I didn't. I thought we could try. I thought we could build something. Or at least talk. Ari, Luka sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. You wanted this marriage. She stared at him, stunned. Yes, I wanted, but a marriage where we were partners, friends, something real. But I never asked you to marry me out of obligation. He let out a tired laugh. You didn't have to ask. It was obvious. Something cold crawled up her spine. Obvious? That you wanted to secure me, Luka said quietly. Not angrily, but as if stating a simple, resigned truth. That your father helped me because of you. Because you wanted me tied to you eventually. Ari stared at him as though he had spoken in another language. What did you say? Luka finally met her eyes. And what she saw there shattered her. Bitterness. Sadness. Misunderstandings. Ari stood in the center of the hallway with Luka's cold words echoing in her ears like a curse she could not escape. Your father helped me because of you, Ari. Because you wanted me indebted, tied to you. For a heartbeat, she forgot how to breathe. Her lips parted, but no words came out, not even disbelief. It was as if every sound in the world had suddenly fallen away, leaving only the hollow thud of her heart. Then, the most unexpected thing happened. Ari laughed. A quiet, breathless chuckle at first, but it grew, spiraling out of her chest in a sound that was not joy, not amusement, but something raw, cracked and terrifyingly empty. Ari. Luka's voice faltered, confusion flickering across his face. Why are you? She shook her head with a soft, trembling shrug as if shaking off invisible chains. The laughter grew louder, breaking midway as tears spilled down her cheeks, unstoppable. Her shoulders shook, not from humor, but from something deeper, darker. Every part of her burned with the terrible clarity of a truth she wished she had never had to learn. Her laughter dissolved into a choked sob. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, broken, a sound that scraped at the walls of Luka's chest in a way he didn't know how to handle. She wiped at her cheeks with trembling fingers. So this is what you thought of me all this time. Ari. She held up her hand, stopping him. No anger, no pleading, no desperation. Just exhaustion. An exhaustion that terrified him more than any shouting ever could. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore, Luka, she whispered, her voice soft but eerily steady. And honestly, I don't want to. She looked down at her own hands for a long moment. Her wedding ring gleamed under the dim hallway light, mocking her with the promises she once believed in. If this is what you've carried in your mind, she continued quietly, then nothing I say will matter. Neither today nor tomorrow or ever. Your version of me, it's set in stone. Her tears fell silently now, dripping onto the marble floor, each drop sounding louder than her voice. Inside her chest, the truth twisted painfully. Dad helped him because Luka's parents saved us, again and again. He helped him out of loyalty, friendship and love for his friend. Not because of me. Not because they wanted him indebted. Not because they wanted to tie him to me. But she did not say it. What would be the point? She had given explanations for months, gentle ones, hopeful ones, patient ones. Luka hadn't heard a single one. Why would he hear her now? Ari breathed in shakily. I'm tired. The words were soft, but they hit Luka like a physical blow. Ari? Luka stepped forward, a flicker of something, maybe fear, crossed his eyes. Don't say that. I'm tired of trying, she whispered. Her voice broke. I'm tired of being punished for something my family never did. Something I never did. I don't know where this twisted idea came from, Luka. And I'm too exhausted to untangle it anymore. She looked at him as though seeing him for the first time, not as the boy she had loved her whole life, not as the man she hoped to build a future with, but as a stranger who had lived beside her for a year while never seeing her at all. Her last laugh, small, shattered, defeated, escaped her lips. She shook her head, more tears sliding down, and whispered with a broken smile. Congratulations, Luka. You finally succeeded in killing whatever hope I had left. Something inside Luka jolted. A pulse of panic surged through him before he could hide it. Ari, wait. But she didn't wait. Without raising her voice, without another word, she simply turned and walked away, her steps light, almost floating, as though her body had detached itself from her heart long ago. Ari. Luka took a step toward her. Don't walk away like this. Listen. She didn't stop. Not once. Her tears fell freely, leaving a trail he couldn't gather, couldn't understand, couldn't fix. Her dress shimmered softly as she climbed the stairs, slow, tired steps, as if every ounce of strength she had left was spent simply walking away from him. At the top of the staircase, she paused just long enough to whisper, barely audible, but Luka heard it like thunder. I don't want this anymore. And then she disappeared into her room. The door didn't slam. It closed gently. Quietly. The soft click cut through the mansion louder than any scream could have. Luka stood frozen. His breath hitched. His fingers curled uselessly by his sides. His chest tightened painfully with an emotion he didn't know how to name. He had seen Ari sad. He had seen her annoyed. He had seen her cry before. But he had never seen her break. He had never seen her laugh like that, tears streaming down, as if everything inside her was collapsing at once. And he had never seen her walk away from him without hesitation. For the first time since his family died, Luka felt a kind of fear that made his bones shake. Ari had always been there, gentle, patient, warm. But that woman upstairs? That woman who laughed through tears and said she didn't want this anymore? She wasn't the same Ari. Something in her head snapped. And Luka realized with cold, suffocating dread. He had pushed her to her breaking point. He didn't know how to fix this. He didn't even know if he still could. He took one step toward the staircase, then stopped. His legs refused to move. His throat felt tight, burning. He whispered her name under his breath, but it sounded foreign, trembling. Ari. The silence that answered him was the loudest sound he had ever heard. Luka barely slept that night. He sat on the sofa in their bedroom hallway long after Ari closed the door, staring at the floor as if the answer to everything lay in the grains of the marble. He told himself that he would talk to her in the morning. That he will apologize. He will explain. He will try to fix this. He repeated it like a prayer until exhaustion finally dragged him to a restless sleep. But when Luka woke with the first pale light of dawn stretching across the sky, the world was no longer the same. The hallway was too quiet. The air too still. Something was wrong. He pushed open the door to their room. It was empty. The bed was untouched. The wardrobe doors were tightly closed, and her dresses, her scarves, her jewelry, everything was there but she wasn't. Luka froze. His vision blurred for a second. Ari? His voice cracked in the silent room. He checked the bathroom, the balcony, the study, the guest rooms. Nothing. Panic crawled up his spine like cold fire. He rushed to the living room, calling for the staff. When did Madam leave? Luka demanded, voice raw. One of the maids trembled. Sir, she left around 3 in the morning. Alone. Alone? Without her things? She took nothing, sir. Not even her phone. Just her purse. Luka couldn't breathe. She didn't say where she was going? No, sir. He stood in the center of the living room, feeling the world tilt. A ringing filled his ears. His heart slammed against his ribs, frantic, disbelieving. She left. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Ari was gone. And she had left so quietly that he hadn't even felt her slip away. The following days Luka did everything. He called her parents first but they didn't answer. When he visited, her mother refused to open the door. So he called all her friends, waited near her house, visited every hotel, every subway, every possible way to reach her. But never saw Ari, as if the earth had swallowed her. Defeated when he called her father again, her father's secretary told him in a cold tone that Mrs. Unavailable. Unavailable? Luka almost shouted. She is not yours anymore, the secretary replied gently. Sir, please, stop calling her. Luka's throat closed. He tried to visit their home. The guards blocked him. He tried to attend an event where he knew Ari's parents would be. They left before he could reach them. Once, he saw her father from a distance. He ran forward, desperate, but the older man turned his face away and walked past him as if Luka were a stranger. For the first time in his adult life, Luka felt powerless. He had lost her. And he didn't know how to get her back. It was a rainy evening, ironically similar to the night he lost his family, when Ari's father arrived at Luka's mansion unannounced. Luka opened the door with frantic hope. Uncle, Ari, is she? Ari's father didn't smile. Didn't soften. His eyes were carved from stone. He placed a thick envelope in Luka's hand. Luka's heart dropped. What is this? Divorce papers, Mr. Ashford said quietly. Luka's blood turned to ice. No, he whispered. No. I refuse. I won't sign. Ari's father's expression darkened for the first time in Luka's life. He had always been a warm man, gentle, soft-spoken, but now he looked at Luka like he was looking at a stranger who had deeply disappointed him. Luka, he said slowly, do you think this is a joke? Luka shook his head, panic rising in his chest. Uncle, please. I just need to talk to her once. Just once. You have lost that right. The words hit Luka like a physical strike. Ari's father continued, his voice trembling with restrained anger. Helping you never involved Ari. Do you hear me? Never. Luka's breath stilled. We helped you because your parents were our friends. Because your father pulled my business out of losses more than once. Because your mother helped my wife find a surgeon when I had no money to afford one. Because your family carried ours through storms. His eyes hardened. Our support to you had nothing to do with Ari. She was a child. A daughter we loved too much to drag into financial matters. Each word crushed Luka deeper. And now, you accuse my family of manipulating you? Of tying you with debts? Of forcing you into a marriage? Mr. Ashford said, voice low with hurt. Uncle, Luka whispered, the first tear slipping down. Ari suffered because of your assumptions. She broke because of your silence. You got everything from her: loyalty, devotion, love, and you gave her nothing but pain. Luka's chest constricted painfully. I was wrong. I misunderstood. Yes, Ari's father replied, you did not understand. Even when she cried alone every night. Even when she waited for you. Even when she begged for your time. You did not understand. His voice cracked for the first time. And now it's too late. Luka's knees nearly gave out. If you refuse to sign, Mr. Ashford said, cold finality in his tone, I will take you to court. I will not let my daughter stay chained to someone who hurt her this deeply. Luka stared at the papers, his vision blurring with tears. Uncle, please. Sign it, Mr. Ashford said. Free her. This is the last thing I will ever ask of you. His voice softened, not kindly, but with grief. Helping you with business was the only way I could repay your parents' kindness now. I won't repay your parents' kindness at the cost of my daughter's happiness. Luka broke. He sank to the floor, sobbing into his hands. Minutes later, with a shaking hand, he signed away the last thing he had left of her. 2 weeks later, Luka walked into the courtroom with a hollow chest. He had not seen Ari once. Not heard her voice. Not even received a message. When he entered, his breath caught painfully. Ari was already there. Sitting beside her lawyer. Dressed in a simple, elegant pale blue dress like that night. Her hair tied back. No makeup. No jewelry. No wedding ring. But what struck Luka wasn't her appearance. It was her eyes. Cold, empty, and indifferent. She did not even glance at him. Luka's heart felt like it was cracking open inside his chest. He sat across from her like a stranger. Neither her husband, nor her childhood friend. But her ex-husband. When their eyes finally met, accidentally, Luka's breath hitched. There was nothing there. Nothing left of the girl who once smiled at him like he hung the stars. Nothing left of the woman who waited for him night after night. Nothing left of the heart that once beat only for him. Just silence. Just distance. Just the cold wall they could never break again. In that moment, Luka realized something brutal. Ari wasn't angry. She wasn't hurt or broken anymore. She was done. The judge spoke, but Luka didn't hear a word. His eyes stayed on her, memorizing the new version of Ari, the one who no longer carried him in her heart. When the divorce was declared, Ari stood. She didn't look at him. Didn't pause. Didn't flinch. She simply walked away. And Luka felt it with every step she took. She wasn't coming back. Not now. Not ever. Upon returning, he felt like the mansion was too big. Too quiet. Too cold. Luka walked through the empty rooms like a ghost. Her slippers were still near the bed. Her favorite cup sat untouched in the kitchen. A scarf she forgot lay on the sofa. He picked it up, clutching it to his chest. Too late. He was always too late. Her laughter, her tears. Her soft voice calling his name, her gentle hands touching his cheek. All gone. Just like his family. Just like everything he ever cared for. He sank to the floor of their bedroom, the room that was no longer theirs, and whispered her name into the silence. Ari. The house didn't answer. The world didn't answer. He was alone. Again. And this time, it was entirely his fault. The end. Or maybe it was starting of a new arc. Comment below if you want a part 2. Till then, bye-bye.